I call to order this meeting of the City of Ames Planning and Zoning Commission. The Planning and Zoning Commission is an independent advisory body of the City of Ames City Council. The Planning and Zoning Commission members are volunteers of the community, not part of the city administration. The Planning and Zoning Commission is supported by staff from the city's planning division. The commission is responsible for recommendations on matters involving subdivisions, annexations, master plans, and major site development plans, amendments to the zoning ordinance, and comprehensive plan amendments. We make our recommendations based on city codes, the facts presented, and input from the public. As an advisory commission, we welcome all comments regarding the proposed item. Please direct your input to the commission. If proceedings become lengthy, we may ask that comments be focused on new information not previously presented. You may speak only once on an agenda item. If you wish to speak, please fill out a speaker information card and present it to the recording secretary. We ask that you come to the microphone and speak so all comments may be recorded. The order of the proceedings for each item on the agenda will be as follows. City staff will present the staff report regarding the agenda item. Commission members will have an opportunity to ask questions of city staff. The applicant will be invited to make a statement regarding the request. Commission members will have an opportunity to ask questions of the applicant. Members of the audience will be invited to come forward to offer comments and questions. Once public comment is closed, city staff and the applicant will have an opportunity for concluding remarks. The commission will discuss the application based on all presentations and any comments given and come to a recommendation for city council. The discussion may include further questions of city staff and the applicant for clarification. And with that, we'll move to the first item on the agenda, which is the introduction of commission members.
Julie Winter.
Cheryl Moss.
Mike Sullivan.
Mike Clayton.
Matthew Voss.
And we'll move to item 3, approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor of approving the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. And then we'll move to approval of the minutes of November 19th, 2025. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor of approving the minutes of November 19th, 2025, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. And now we'll open it for public forum. So this is an opportunity. If anyone from the audience would like to speak about an item that's not on the agenda, this is your opportunity to do so. Is there anyone that would like to speak for public forum? Seeing none, we'll close the public forum and move to item 6 on the agenda, rezone at 204 Southeast 2nd Street from highway-oriented commercial, HOC, to neighborhood commercial NC with a master plan.
All right, thank you very much. So the application that we have is from KHDB Enterprises. This is on behalf of the current property owner, which is Overflow Thrift Store, Inc. And they are requesting to rezone the property that you see there outlined in blue on the south side of Southeast 2nd Street. It's actually just recently been consolidated through a plat of survey. This map was done prior to that. It shows the tax parcels in the lot that were previously there. So the property owned by Overflow Thrift is shown there. That is a property that is requested to be rezoned to neighborhood commercial with a master plan. So just real quick, some details of the site. The site is 1.29 acres. It is currently undeveloped. It has had a few single-family homes on it in previous decades, several decades ago, that have since been demolished. The current zoning is shown there as well on the zoning map. It is highway-oriented commercial, as well as much of the area around it. It is located there just to the about a block and a half northwest of Target and a block east of Duff. So the master plan that accompanies the requested rezoning request, or proposal rather, I'll pull this up here for you real quick. There it is. So this is the master plan that is proposed with the rezoning, and this is for a future construction of a 3-story building, which would be a total of approximately 31,000 square feet. It would have 3 stories. The upper 2 stories would be residential, completely residential, and the bottom story, the main level, would be commercial. About 6,000 square feet of commercial is what the developer is proposing, and then the remainder of that residential. The main components of the master plan here are to control for the minimum amount of commercial space on the ground floor, as well as for the provision of parking, particularly to make sure that there's adequate parking for the commercial use in addition to the residential use. So as this makes its way forward and goes to City Council, there will be updates there will be a zoning agreement that will be included, obviously, once it gets to the City Council stage. A couple other things I'll just hit on real quick. So I think to understand this particular area in this neighborhood, it's somewhat unique. In previous years, many years ago, it was primarily residential. Over time, there's been a change in the land use over the last decades to orient this area to more of a commercial nature, which in some areas, especially to the north and the immediate west and a lot of the surrounding neighborhood, it has started to. But there are still some intermixed single-family residential properties, and then some that have been converted to small business as well to the north along East Lincoln Way. So this area in Ames Plan 2040 was reclassified to a redirection area. And so we talk about that a little bit in your report. So that changed the underlying land use here to allow for some new mixed use concepts to be considered with the comprehensive plan update a few years ago. So this is just a snapshot, and we put this in your report, but this is the East Lincoln Way sub area. So this generally encompasses the area where the redirection area is at. Anything along Southeast 2nd, you'll see here, particularly this property, which is where Project C is indicated. So it is considered within the redirection area, even though it's otherwise right on the boundary. And it is also part of the East Lincoln Way sub area. And you can see there that it actually has a envisioned concept project for this site. And just gives a few details for it there. But that is kind of the policy framework for the sub area. And so that is what we looked at when we got the request and when we started having discussions about this. It is right on the line of where things tend to transition. So to the south of here and the southeast of here, you still have very much general, pretty solid retail and commercial. You do have some open space here in this area. There's a couple scattered businesses, Target, of course, further to the south, and then smaller, a solid block of smaller businesses along Duff. But then you have that transition here to kind of that mixture again of those older single family homes that have been here for several generations, and then that mixed use, or that mixed standalone business use that's started to occur here over the last several years. And with the comprehensive plan, one of the things that the City Council valued here was taking a fresh look at this neighborhood and being able to provide for a vision for some redevelopment and the ability to really reinvest in the neighborhood and do at least some moderate intensification. And so it has these mixed use components envisioned in it. So I think that's an important part of looking at this and looking at the justification for it. And so that's what we looked at and we discussed at length there in your report. I think with that, I can answer any questions that you might have on the details surrounding it as we go forward, if you do have any at this time.
I assume we're outside of the flood area.
This is to the west and north of the
Okay.
floodplain. So it is up. This site kind of has a slope to it, this grass lot. So if you ever go by there, you'll notice there's an elevation change, definitely, especially to the east of here.
other questions for city staff? All right, and at this time, we invite the applicant to come up if they'd like to speak on this item.
Kevin Heiss. So we've done similar build outs like this in other towns and cities, and we've seen a lot of success with mixed use, with the businesses being below that and then the residents being above. The other thing that we do is we'll build a high quality building. I come from a pretty long background of construction. My father built 900 new homes in Ohio, so I kind of grew up around this. Been around real estate for a long time. We've built, again, several concepts like this in different parts of the area, and so not in Ames specific, but in other towns. And if you want references or you want to look at buildings, we do more than. We're not putting up a building that's there for a few years. We're gonna make it a nice front and make sure we put some brick or stone or whatever the final plans look like. And then on the interior, we also do a lot of things that are higher quality in nature in terms of cabinets and countertops and things like this. So we're trying to attract your business people that are just starting out, trying to make it work. Our other intention, I own a IT company. We have about 350 employees. Our goal is to establish a location for our business here in Ames. We're going to do some assessment. We're working on some other property. Not sure if we'll end up in this location or if we'll end up in another location, but we will be here. We do quite a bit of business throughout, 30 states across the United States. So what we want to do is tap into the college and the resources that are available, do internships long-term and bring people into the fold of our company, because we've seen that work in other cities. So that's a little bit about just background information on myself and what we're trying to accomplish. And we feel like with this property, we looked at straight commercial and just the way the land lays and kind of where it's located. We felt like it was best for a mixed use building, and we've kind of designed quite a few plans around this and spent quite a bit of time with these guys just working together to figure it out. Because I sit on city council in my town, and I live in Lawton, Iowa, much smaller than where you guys live. So I've sat through city council meetings and planning and zoning meetings with lack of preparation, but we are prepared with information and any questions you might have.
Great. Does anyone have any questions for the applicant? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and then at this time, we'd open it up. If there's for public comment, is anyone from the audience that would like to come and speak on this agenda item, please step up to the microphone and be heard. Seeing none, we'll close the public comment. Now will be, I guess, if city staff or the applicant have any concluding remarks.
Do not.
Okay. Do we have any discussion? Dennis?
Did we close the public hearing? Did we open the public hearing?
I thought I did.
Okay, I missed the closing part.
Yeah. Okay. We closed the public hearing. Okay.
So there's no comments from the public.
Yep. No comments from the public. Okay. This time we'll open it up for discussion. Okay. Does anyone have a motion?
I'll move alternative one, that the Planning and Zoning Commission recommends that the city council approve the master plan for rezoning the property at 204 Southeast 2nd Street and 210th Sumner Avenue from HOC Highway Oriented Commercial to NC Neighborhood Commercial with an updated master plan prior to consideration of rezoning at city council.
I'll second.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. All right. We'll move on to item 7 on the agenda, rezone for ISU Research Park Phase 4, first edition from Agricultural A to Research Park Innovation District RI with the master plan.
Good evening. So this is a rezoning of a 15-acre area that is part of a larger parcel of land. We are just south of the Research Park's current boundary, and you may remember earlier this year we did annex this 40-acre piece that now 15 acres is being proposed to be rezoned. So this is a split zoning. However, the Research Park has submitted a subdivision that matches the split or the rezoning boundary. So this parcel will be divided to match the proposed rezoning boundary. So the 25 acres that aren't proposed to be rezoned will remain as agricultural and in agricultural production and will be an outlot in the subdivision. So the 15 acres that's proposed to be rezoned will be RI, Research Park Innovation District, which is the industrial zoning designation that typically applies to the Research Park, was designed for the Research Park. You can see it applies to the parcels to the north. This zoning district does match the Plan 2040 designation or comprehensive plan designation for the property of employment. So those are compatible. And I will also note that with this rezoning, staff did request a master plan. Master plans aren't required, but in this instance, we requested it just to see how the larger area that the Research Park owns that hasn't been annexed yet or and isn't proposed to be developed, but how in the future that area and this section will really integrate with the previous phases of the Research Park to the north. And so you can see on the master plan, one of the main things it shows is the road extension of 260th along the southern property line to connect what's University over to Riverside, as well as an extension of Entrepreneur Drive, which it's kind of the road that runs through this area. So Entrepreneur Drive connects to the north in past phases and will be stubbed to the property line. And then as this area long-term develops, you can see how it all integrate and traffic will circulate. So while the, again, rezoning area, which is outlined in blue on this map, and the parcel that it's part of have been annexed, I did just want to note that these other 3 pieces of land have not been annexed. So this master plan is really illustrative of future infrastructure and showing that, it will be adequate and provide for adequate site circulation. It is not binding because these parcels are not annexed in the city yet on those other 3 pieces of land. So it's more of a concept to show that, yes, we will have adequate circulation and other infrastructure. So I think in summary for this, this is a partial property rezoning or a split zoning, which is unique. The commission could ask for the whole area to be rezoned, the whole 40-acre piece. However, we don't believe that's necessary, as the owner has submitted a subdivision that will match this rezoning boundary. And the RI district is an appropriate zoning district given the Research Park zoning to the north, being part of the Research Park, that it matches our Plan 2040 designation. And the master plan does reflect the intended development pattern for the Research Park in integration with previous phases. So we are recommending approval. I'm happy to take any questions.
Are there any questions?
I guess I just have a very basic question. I know you mentioned that there's a site plan that's been submitted with us, but why not rezone the whole 40 right now, as this does seem like it could complicate future it's messy.
Mm-hmm. You might need to ask the applicant the why, but I think the rezoning site is the immediate development opportunity. It will be part of an agricultural test equipment facility. And so the remaining 25 acres will actually be used by the property owner. I don't believe they will by the test facility. I don't believe they will own it. It will remain in agricultural production, and they'll be using it for testing of that equipment. I don't know if it possibly made sense to them to keep the agricultural designation, given that it would be row cropped and used for equipment testing. But I think since it's not the intended development site itself, it wasn't included in the application.
If the remaining 25 acres were rezoned, would that preclude the research park from using it for agricultural production?
No.
And remind me again, what's the proposed rezone for the blue area we're looking at?
To the RI district, Research Park Innovation District.
Okay. And so what would, I guess, with the site plan that you've seen, the proposed site plan, just roughly what is the proposed use here? Or what are they building?
They're going to build a couple buildings, but it's mainly for agricultural equipment to be stored on the site with a test track.
Okay.
And I think there will be an office space.
Got it.
The applicant is here.
Great.
Might be able to answer some of these questions better than staff.
Any other questions for city staff at this time? Okay, then we would invite the applicant to come up. They'd like to speak on this item.
Hi, Rick Sanders, President and Executive Director of the Research Park. Everything Amelia said is exactly right. This is intended to be a single project for an equipment manufacturer to do testing. We would prefer, I don't know that we have a strong feeling, we would prefer to keep the ground where we aren't doing development and don't plan to do development, meaning what's immediately east is agricultural ground. It will be testing ground for all practical purposes, but it will be in row crop, as that's what they need to be able to use for testing. And I'm here to answer any other questions you might have.
Any other questions for the applicant?
No, I think you've both covered it well. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, at this time, we'd open it up for public comment. Is there anyone from the audience that would like to speak on this agenda item?
My name's Kyle Clark. I own the little spot there that isn't annexed. Yeah, that's me. I'm just trying to figure out a couple things. I wasn't notified of this until last night that this is all going to happen. My name is on the registry as the person purchasing the house from my in-laws. So it is city record or county record that I should have been notified because I'm the one within 400 yards of it. And I never was. And I never seen any signs stating that this is going to happen. There's only one field entrance to that, and it's just down the road from me, and I would have thought I would have seen something. But beside the point of that, how is this going to affect me? I understand they bought that lot. We used to farm, my family used to farm that ground. They bought it, and that's fine. That's great. I'm glad their intention is to keep using it as a learning piece for agricultural. But they've offered to purchase my land. We couldn't come to an agreement. Things did get a little bit ugly at times. Then I was threatened with annexation. I came to the city council meeting. I plead my case. As you can see, I got out of the annexation part for at least for now. Because I could not come up with a logical reason that was going to do anything for me but raise my taxes. At this point, they have offered to show me plans. I wouldn't know if they're real plans or not. They could show me whatever they want to show me. I don't know if they're right or wrong. I don't know if there are plans that are available to be seen. They have told me in past that their plan was to do a building for a company. They didn't really come out and say what it was, but it would be for test equipment for agricultural, which is basically kind of what's around me already. They did build their new building just down the road from me. It's a beautiful building. Really hasn't caused me any grief whatsoever. But this is going to be, they made it sound like this was basically going to be in my backyard. So I'm just curious of being the one and only person that that's going to affect. What's it going to do to me? They've already told me all this is just going to drive the price of my property down. Not for sure of that quite yet, but that was one of the discussions we did have. So I guess my point is I wasn't even notified of this. I found out very last minute. I could have called the planning and zoning and talked to them about it and seen exactly what was going on. And I probably wouldn't have had to do this. But we moved to the country to live in the country. I already don't live in the country, and it is being brought into the research park, which it could be a lot worse for me. And I agree. I understand that it could be something totally different. When they do something, they do it really nice. It's usually well thought out, but I am the only resident there on that side of the road. And I'm not against the zoning change. I just kind of like to know what it means for me, where I'm going to end up in this whole plan. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Is there anyone else from the audience that would like to speak? Seeing none, we'll close public comment and offer city staff or the applicant a chance to have concluding remarks. right.
Really, it's the applicant if they want to rebut anything that was said in the public by the public.
Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to discussion. Is there any discussion, Ms. Jenna? Okay. Does anyone have a motion?
I move alternative one. The Planning and Zoning Commission can recommend that the City Council approve the request to rezone the property from A agricultural to RI Research Park Innovation with a master plan based upon the staff's findings and conclusions as found in the addendum.
I guess, can we go back to comments before we motion? Or I guess, is there a motion on the table?
I guess, is there a second? I guess the motion's been made. Is
We
there?
Oh,
can-
okay.
We could
Sure, sure.
wait.
Needs to
If
be a
there's no
second.
second,
first.
we could.
I mean, you can
see.
discuss the motion. So the motion's on the table. So the next action is there a second?
Doesn't look like we have a second at this time. So,
Okay.
so now we can have, if there's.
Return to commission
if
comments,
there's comments or
discussion.
Questions. Yep.
Just quick commission comment, I guess, just based upon this gentleman speaking here. I just wanted to verify from a staff perspective that notification, to the best of your knowledge, was done according to code.
So I'm looking right now,
Okay.
and it does appear that on the assessor's records, the mailing address is not the address of this property. It's a different property. So we use the mailing address where mail is indicated to go to. So that was sent. It was on our mailing list, but it
Okay.
was just not sent to the Citus address. It was sent to a different address that was
Correct.
listed.
And you can only know that based upon assessors. So yeah, okay,
Yep,
that's
and we
accurate.
do. I did place a sign on the property on Wednesday.
Okay,
There has been some weather, so
got it.
I will go check it tomorrow and see if it isn't a snowdrift.
Okay.
I'd like to just comment too that there's further action on anything. We sort of discuss and advise, but final decision and final discussions can come later.
I guess my other comment, just to verify what we are being asked to as the Planning and Zoning Commission to do, is just a comment on whether or not this action brought before us is in compliance. All of this data, what this gentleman brings up is potentially unfortunate, but it's not relevant to what we're looking at in terms of whether this proposal meets zoning standards. Is that what we're, I guess, for any staff, a yes or no?
They give two things in front of you. One is determining consistency with Plan 2040, which is an area that was shown for expansion of the city. That's why it was annexed. And then, is this the appropriate zoning district for that property now that it is in the city? That's your basic rezoning question. And then in this case, there is a master plan that does not include an actual site plan. It's not necessarily an expectation. It just, in this case, it describes general use of the property, and the fact that it's a split zoned property is one reason why you're seeing how the whole 160 acres, which is owned by the Research Park, someday could be developed, but it's not necessarily binding. So a master plan doesn't necessarily normally include site development details. I think
And it's
what
not required in this case.
It isn't necessarily required. Details can be recommended to be added. We did not recommend for that. We thought it was a large site, and we would meet zoning standards pretty readily through that. There will be a subdivision process that will show street improvements and utility extensions that go along with creating that blue parcel. That will eventually come through this review process as well. So that'll have slightly more detail. The actual building plan never does come back to the commission or the council. It would be after the lot is created, then it would be reviewed by staff. Now, that plan's able to be reviewed by the public when it's submitted. It has not been yet submitted.
When that site plan does get submitted, is there anything in code that would potentially require setbacks or require anything regarding this? I guess the adjacent parcel is technically zoned agricultural, I would say.
Our zoning ordinance has no standards related to county property. So his
The
property
county
is
city.
still in the county, and it would be zoned ag if it was in the city. So there's no particular
I see.
buffer separation requirement that would apply to this situation.
The way I see it is that it's tough because his property is right on that property line. Like even when you consider a rural property, it's, again, maybe we're not necessarily considering this issue, but I do understand what you're saying, sir, about it's a concern.
I
just-
the actual structures.
Yeah, the actual structures are very close to that property line, especially from rural standards. Doesn't necessarily mean if it's an adjacent parcel, each person has a free right to do what's allowed to them in a zoning sense. That might be beyond what we're expected to consider in this circumstance, at least until a site plan would go forward and another body considers how those two properties are going to interact. I mean, just from a zoning perspective of what's being asked, the split zoning's a little strange, but understanding what the intended use is, everything makes sense. And it all also seems to match Plan 2040. So
For confirmation, Kelly, you mentioned it a little bit, but for our reference and for the gentleman's reference, can you talk about what on the site would come back in front of the commission before the more solid site plan?
Is the plat a final plat or a preliminary plat?
It's preliminary.
So the proposed division will come back for a hearing with the planning commission after the site's been rezoned. So at that point, like I said, it'll show the actual street dedication and It'll show how the water line and the sanitary sewer line will serve that site. That's the basic level of information that you would see with the subdivision plat.
Okay.
Would there now or in the future be any opportunity to require, given everything that Julie talked about, that was talked about earlier, would there be any opportunity to recommend, requiring greater detail on the specific site plan for approval?
So in the master plan process, it's not mandatory to do a master plan, but if city council so required, it can ask for additional site development details to be described for the site. It isn't necessarily a full site plan review. So much like the applicant before you, you had a rezoning with a master plan. That master plan showed you an envelope of a building and described some of the square footage of uses. That isn't necessarily the site plan that'll get built, but it does have like an envelope of development that it shows. So there are times where some additional detail has been required by the council. I think the distinction here is that our zoning ordinance has no any requirements related to ag zone properties. If it was a residentially developed property, there are some separation requirements and things that may apply to it depending on the zoning district, but nowhere in the city do we have any kind of ag protection requirements.
So if it was residentially zoned, there'd be a 20-foot high screen buffer and a 50-foot setback.
I mean, I'll say, I think for me right now, I would lean towards moving forward with the rezoning. I'll be interested to see in the future what the preliminary plat has, and thinking about more details when that time comes. But I think the rezoning makes sense.
I would agree with that.
I guess a question for people in favor of the rezoning, I guess, are you talking about the rezoning of the entire 40 acres or the 15.25?
I would say
Or-
the rezoning of the 1525 as it's laid out here.
That's what we're being asked to review. It's just that 15 acres.
Well, it's the whole property is proposed as part of the rezoning. They're requesting 15 acres be zoned. So because it's a portion of it, is the whole property is up for that review. It is
one of the
not
other
something that you've ever seen proposed this way before, to have a split zone 40 acre piece.
Is there any precedent for it?
You can do it. The code allows for it to be intentionally split zoned. If they weren't subdividing in the future, I'd be more hesitant about doing this, but I know the matching lot pattern that's coming. So it's a little early, but it also is consistent with what we've seen.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the whole property is here. That's why there's an alternative to consider rezoning the whole thing.
I mean, I'll just say too, I'm interested in the rezoning, the 15.25 at the request. So that's the way I'm leaning, I guess.
Mm. And there's no precedent really that in these cases to where you have adjacent properties county owned and then right on the city border, do planners normally work amongst, is there a process for that? Or is it just basically this is city property and this is within our purview and what's beyond that is not within the zoning standards purview? How do we typically handle that?
We have all kinds of properties that abut the city.
Got it.
There's no particular standard related to it. So I'm just kind of racking my brain, different times this has come up for different situations. I don't remember any particular expectation that was assigned to a rezoning process in terms of addressing some kind of compatibility issue.
Okay, well, I don't think I have any further questions at all.
Does anyone else have anything else? Any discussion or any other questions or comments? Do we have a motion?
I'll move to recommend alternative 1. The Planning and Zoning Commission can recommend that the City Council approve the request to rezone the property from agriculture to RI Research Park Innovation with a master plan based upon staff's findings and conclusions as found in the addendum.
Is that a second?
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. All in favor of move for alternative 1, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
So as you noted, this item still needs to go to the city council, so it will be noticed for a future city council meeting for them to also review the proposed rezoning master plan. And just, do we have, I can't recall, do we have a complete preliminary plat application?
No.
We do not. So we don't have a date for when that will come to the commission yet.
I think likely in December still.
So it could be at their next meeting.
Mhm.
If not, probably in January.
Mhm.
Okay. All right, with that, we'll move on to commission comments. Does anyone have any comments?
Have anything in December?
Well, potentially a preliminary plat. I think we likely will have items for the next meeting. It looks like that at this point in time.
Okay.
So 2 weeks from now.
Okay. Any further staff comments?
I'm just going to come back to a thing that we brought up, I think probably about 2 months ago. I think less of you were here to talk about the distribution of the packet materials. So we had talked with some of the people that were here about changing the mailing of the packet to email notification and then provide you a printed copy at the dais rather than the mail. I think the consensus was that was probably okay. I don't think but we said we would follow up again. So I just wanted to bring that up again. Does anybody have concerns about us going to that method? That's how we do the zoning board of adjustment. That's you're the only board that gets a mailed packet. Let's put it that way.
I'm fine with it.
I'm fine with that. Yeah.
Now I do feel special that we're the only ones that get mailed.
I believe you're the only one.
Second
I
thought.
guess.
So I think that would be beneficial to us. It's a minor cost savings, but if you're not using it, it's just kind of a waste in the first place. So, all right. So we will move to that at the next item. Next meeting. We will give you the same email notification on Fridays. Same stuff gets posted online. So if you want to look at it, if you have questions, you want to see something that seems like it doesn't work online for you, just let us know and we'll get you something else. But we're going to go to that method.
Sounds good.
Okay.
All right.
I think just kind of an item of interest, I mentioned a couple months back, the city council is looking at requests for development incentives. They're going to be looking at that again on December 9th. Ultimately, those things feed into a lot of different potential projects for next year that you will see. You'll never review the financial side of anything, but it is tied to a substantial number of potential subdivision projects then if they were to proceed here in the winter and the spring. So if you're interested in that, pay attention to the December 9th agenda.
Wasn't there, I don't remember, just like maybe 9 months ago or something, there's discussion about a comprehensive look at the zoning ordinance, I think.
Yeah.
Is that still happening or what's the?
It's on the work plan. We have not started it yet. So city council, we talked about that a little bit back in April. City council directed staff to prepare a scope of work, including an option for a steering committee to look at a comprehensive rewrite of the zoning ordinance. We have not initiated that yet, just based on what else has been happening this summer. But that is still our expectation, is to do that or start that probably next year.
Okay. Anything else? All right, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Move adjournment.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.